what happens if you bring in radicalized Muslims? Right? What happens if you do that? Well, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. And that's the problem they've had. They haven't had the problem. They don't really care about African crime. Well, maybe you just woke up and realized that the guys in charge really don't care about criminals running around murdering, raping, and killing white people. They don't really care about that. They don't really care about any of these things, but they do care about their New World Order and stuff like that, and the Muslims have put the kibosh on them. So they let in all these Muslims, and these Muslims are fanatically anti-Jewish, and you do not have anyone to do business with. You can't do business with their leaders. You can do business with some of the leaders like the House of Saud, but they don't count on the Arab street. You can't do business with the Hezbollah or the Hamas. They just don't. You can't work with them. The Iranians will not work with them. They don't care about dying. They have been hyped up because they're trying to blame someone for this. They're trying to blame someone for things that are their own fault. Who are they trying to blame? Oh, they're trying to blame the Nazis. But one of the challenges is when you get in these conversations, when you talk about the elites, everyone thinks they're so brilliant. Well, they're so brilliant they forgot that labor votes. Their paradigm from Rome or their paradigm from ancient Babylon just wasn't going to work in a modern society. Why? Because of race. There's a huge difference between running an ancient civilization or running even Rome 2,000 years ago and running in America. It just ain't going to work. A multiracial, multicultural country isn't going to work. Right now in America, we have the Fort Hood massacre. You have all these people killed. I'm assuming most of them are white. I don't know exact number, but all these people were killed. They were white by a Muslim soldier. Well, this comes back to what I was saying before. You have a group really hyped up. Those groups are Muslims are very, very hyped up, but you're running a multiracial, multicultural army, and they don't work. You can't have one of those and go to war. It's kind of funny. They've given up their big weapon, their biggest weapon over Anglosphere. We're sending out the redcoats. You know, the redcoats were homogenous Aryan. They were going to send them out and mow everyone over, basically. Well, they've given that up. They tried to create a multiracial, multicultural blended humanity. And it was all, you know, and all these different sectors come together. But it was all around this concept of inviting these people in, and everyone was getting something out of it. You know, it's come to light in the UK that the Labour just wanted the votes, while the Conservatives thought they were doing something good for the business class, and the elites thought they could buy them out either way. But you can't buy out the Muslims. You can't buy out a Muslim that's hyped up enough to grab a gun, go in, raised in America, Lebanese raised in America, but grabs a gun, goes in and shoots up a bunch of people in a military base. How are you going to go to war with that? Especially if it's only in your country. Especially if you're building some type of multicultural, multiracial utopia. You can't. And the reason they're upset, in America growing up, you know, Fort Hood massacres happen every day in America. Oh, they don't happen all at once. But in America, you know, 37 to 40 people die every day from illegal immigration. Most of the people that die are white from illegal immigration, but they die every day. You don't see it on the news. You know, they're not upset that he killed a bunch of white people. They're not upset that this Lebanese Muslim walked in and killed a bunch of white people. That's not what they're upset about. They're upset because he murdered diversity. That's what they're upset about. Geraldo Rivera was on TV talking about how we have the most wonderful, the Marine Corps, everyone all bleeds green, and they're all multiracial, multicultural, and it's this perfect American utopia, and he destroyed that. This Muslim was destroying that. The general that came out, I don't know his name, maybe it was Casey or something like that, but this idiot general came out, and this idiot general says that he was really worried about diversity. I mean, here you have all these soldiers dead, most of them white, by the way, but he's worried about diversity. Well, that's kind of it's tragic and at the same time funny. That's the end of diversity. He murdered diversity. And the elites have been worried about this a long, long time. One segment that was very, very intelligent has been angling. I talked about this angle. The only thing you can do when someone is dominating energy flow is try to angle off of it. You know, they flooded the West with Islam, unbeknownst to themselves. They didn't really realize what they got into it. But then they went to war with Islam, and they were trying to angle to create this World War III, where we throw out the Muslims and they expand Greater Israel, and you know, okay, back to all happy and everything's white, but everything's hunky dory. But it ain't going to work that way. They got in way too much over their heads on this one. And a lot of people think, it's some conspiracy or something like that. Well, it's the worst one conspiracy in the history of the world. You can look up their exact quotes on what they were going to do in Anglosphere. The ideal that your race had to go, but of course race, they're not talking about making race go the way of the dodo in China. They're not talking about making race go to the way of the dodo in Japan or Africa. It's only white countries where race has to go. It's only white countries where nation states have to go. Now, yeah, they are pushing stuff in China, and I'm going to come back to China because they're now doing the deal with Anglosphere. Yeah, you got that. I told you this was working. They're trying to work this angle too. The reason they're working all these angles is because they're in trouble. In Anglosphere, you have a group that is so demoralized, true information won't mean anything to them. And let's go back over the basics, because I'm going to do this a couple times in this one. I'm going to use these particular news events and whatnot to go back over the basics. The ideal of active measures or ideological subversion, or the whole point of demoralization, is to change the perception of reality to such an extent that despite an abundance of actual information and facts, the average American or the average Briton, the average French white person would not be able to defend themselves, their country, their family, their race.